Have you ever had one of those nights where you're absolutely exhausted, but your mind just won't turn off? You're physically drained, but mentally you're still processing the day, thinking about tomorrow, or scrolling through your phone, even though you know you should be sleeping. If that sounds familiar, you're experiencing what I call the wired but tired paradox, and it's more common than you might think. I'm Dr. Tracey Marks, a psychiatrist, and I make mental health education videos to help you strengthen your mind, fortify your brain, and build resilience. In our last video, we talked about how your morning routine can unlock your best mental state by working with your brain's natural chemistry. Today, we're looking at the other bookend of your day and how your evening routine can be just as powerful for restoring your mind and building resilience. Think of it this way. If your morning routine primes your brain for the day ahead, your evening routine is what allows your brain to actually recover from that day. Without proper evening restoration, even the best morning routine can't fully compensate for a brain that never gets to reset. So let's look at what's happening in your brain during those evening hours and how you can work with your natural processes instead of against them. Your brain operates on a predictable rhythm throughout the day, and understanding this rhythm is key to optimizing your evening routine. As the day progresses, your cortisol levels should naturally begin to decline. Remember, cortisol isn't just a stress hormone. It's also what keeps you alert and focused during the day. But for your brain to prepare for sleep and restoration, cortisol needs to drop off in the evening, typically starting about 3 or 4 hours before your intended bedtime. At the same time, as daylight fades, your brain should start producing melatonin, often called the sleep hormone. Melatonin doesn't just make you drowsy, it also signals to your entire body that it's time to shift into recovery mode. And this includes activating your brain's cleanup processes that clear out metabolic waste and consolidate memories from the day. But here's where things get complicated in our modern world. This natural transition from alertness to restoration gets disrupted all the time. When you're exposed to bright light in the evening, especially light that contains blue wavelengths, your brain interprets that as a signal that it's still daytime. And this includes not just screens, but also overhead LED lights and fluorescent lights, which emit more blue light than you might expect. That exposure suppresses melatonin production and can delay it by 1 to 3 hours. And that's why you might feel wide awake at 11 p.m. after an evening spent under bright lights or scrolling on your phone. Mental overstimulation has a similar effect. When your brain is constantly processing new information, solving problems, or dealing with stress, cortisol levels stay elevated. Your nervous system remains in that alert, activated state, making it nearly impossible to transition into the calm, restorative state that you need for quality sleep. There's even a term for what many people do in response to this: revenge bedtime procrastination. I know it well because I do it. This is when you stay up later than you should because it feels like that's the only time you get to yourself. You're essentially trying to reclaim personal time, but what you're really doing is robbing your brain of the restoration it desperately needs. The cost of poor evening restoration goes beyond just feeling tired the next day. When your brain doesn't get proper downtime, it affects your emotional regulation, decision-making, and stress resilience. You might find yourself more reactive and less focused and easily overwhelmed. It's like trying to run a software program on a computer that never gets to clear its cache and or update its systems. So how do you create an evening routine that actually supports your brain's natural restoration process? Let me walk you through the 4 pillars of evening restoration. The first pillar is light transition, and this is probably the most important one that people overlook. Your brain uses light as its primary cue for whether it should be awake or preparing for sleep. To support your natural melatonin production, you want to start dimming artificial lights about 2 hours before your intended bedtime. And this doesn't mean sitting in complete darkness, but it does mean switching to warmer, dimmer lighting. You can use amber or red spectrum bulbs in your bedroom or main living areas, or if that's not practical, Blue light blocking glasses can be surprisingly effective. I've been wearing them for probably 20 years. It looks like I'm wearing sunglasses in my home at night. Many phones and computers also have night mode settings that reduce blue light emission. And even these small changes can make a significant difference in how quickly your brain starts its evening transition. The second pillar is creating a mental boundary between your day and your evening. And this is about shifting from work mode to rest mode. And it requires both physical and psychological cues. Your brain responds powerfully to ritual and routine. So having specific actions that signal the end of your productive day can help trigger that transition. Physical cues might include changing out of your work clothes, washing your hands and face, or even just closing your laptop and putting it away. These actions might seem insignificant, but they send a clear message to your brain that your work time is over. You can also create psychological cues by having a shutdown ritual. And this might be as simple as saying out loud, "Work is done for the day," or writing down your priorities for tomorrow so your brain doesn't have to keep track of them overnight. The third pillar focuses on nervous system downregulation, which is essentially helping your body shift from the sympathetic nervous system's fight or flight mode into the parasympathetic rest and digest mode. This is where breath work becomes incredibly powerful. Techniques like the 4-7-8 breathing pattern or box breathing that we've discussed in previous videos can be particularly effective in the evening because they directly activate your parasympathetic nervous system. You can also use sensory grounding techniques like taking a warm bath, listening to calming music, or engaging in gentle, repetitive activities like light stretching or reading. Progressive muscle relaxation is another simple but effective technique. Starting with your toes and working up to your head, you tense each muscle group for 5 seconds, then release. And notice the contrast between the tension and relaxation. This not only helps physically release the day's stress, but also gives your mind something concrete to focus on instead of racing thoughts. The fourth pillar is what I call brain dump and release. This is about giving your mind permission to let go of the day and stop carrying its weight into the night. One of the most effective ways to do this is through simple evening journaling. And I'm not talking about anything elaborate or time-consuming. Try writing down 3 things that went well during the day, no matter how small, and your top priority for tomorrow. This serves 2 purposes. It helps your brain process positive experiences, which is important for building resilience, and it gives you a place to park tomorrow's concerns so you don't have to mentally rehearse them all night. If you're someone whose mind races with worry at bedtime, try what I call worry parking. Write down your concerns on a piece of paper with the understanding that you'll address them tomorrow when your brain is fresh and better equipped to handle them. This simple act of externalizing your worries can be surprisingly effective at reducing their mental grip. You can also end with a brief gratitude practice. And this doesn't have to be profound or lengthy either. Just 1 or 2 things that you feel genuinely thankful for from the day. Gratitude activates areas of the brain associated with positive emotions and helps counteract the natural tendency to ruminate on problems or stressors. Let me show you what these pillars look like when you put them together in real life. If you have about 15 minutes for an evening routine, it might look like this. Dim the lights and put your devices away. Change into comfortable clothes or pajamas. Take 5 slow, deep breaths using the 4-7-8 pattern. And this is where you breathe in for a count of 4, hold for a count of 7, and exhale for a count of 8. Then write down 3 things that went well and tomorrow's top priority. That's it. Simple, but it hits all 4 pillars. If you have 30 minutes, you can expand this routine. Start with the light transition and changing your clothes. Then take a warm shower or a bath while practicing mindful awareness of the sensations that you experience during the bath. Do 10 minutes of gentle stretching or reading. Spend 5 minutes journaling, including the worry parking technique if you need that. And then end with a few minutes of gratitude or simple meditation. The key here isn't to follow a rigid script, but to create a flexible framework that signals to your brain that it's time to transition from day mode to night mode. And the specific activities matter less than the consistency and the intentionality behind them. Now, you may be thinking, I don't have time for an evening routine, or my mind won't stop racing no matter what I do. Let me quickly address these common obstacles. If time is an issue, remember, even a 5-minute routine is better than no routine at all. You can combine activities like doing deep breathing while you're brushing your teeth or practicing gratitude while you're getting ready for bed. The goal isn't perfection, it's progress. If your mind continues to race despite your best efforts, don't fight the thoughts directly. Instead, give your mind an easy task to focus on, like counting your breaths or doing a body scan. Sometimes the harder you try not to think about something, the more persistent it becomes. Having a simple focus or focal point can help redirect that mental energy. And if you feel guilty about not taking time to relax, remember that evening restoration isn't selfish, it's strategic. When your brain gets proper downtime, you show up better for everything and everyone in your life. Rest is not the opposite of productivity. It's what makes sustainable productivity possible. Your evening routine is an investment in tomorrow's resilience. When you consistently practice these 4 pillars, you're not just improving your sleep, you're literally rewiring your brain's stress response system through neuroplasticity. Let's not forget about that aspect of this because that's what brings us all together. Through neuroplasticity, your brain learns that evenings are safe times to let go and restore, which makes it easier to handle whatever challenges the next day brings. In our next video, we're going to look at something that affects your brain function all day long, but often gets overlooked: hydration. You'll see why water is literally your mind's best friend and how even mild dehydration can impact your mood, focus, and mental clarity in ways that you probably never realized. For tonight, I encourage you to try just one element from what we've discussed. Maybe it's dimming your lights an hour earlier, or writing down 3 good things from your day, or simply taking 5 deep breaths before you get into bed. Pay attention to how that small change affects not just your sleep, but how you feel when you wake up tomorrow. Building an evening routine that supports your brain isn't about adding more to your already full plate. It's about creating space for your mind to do what it naturally wants to do: rest, restore, and prepare for whatever comes next. Thanks for watching today, and I'll see you in the next video.